Welcome
morning.
to our March 12th regular meeting. It's been good to see you guys several times this week. Just want you to know I've seen Ed. I'll have seen Ed 4 times this week because I have a meeting with him tomorrow morning too on the EDC. Thanks, Mayor, for having me on that board.
Yes, no problem.
So I'll call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. We also have a guest, and he's out in the hallway, but we'll call John Lapper in when we're ready. Oh, wait, John, we'll get through the minutes first. Okay. So, this is our regular meeting. As everyone knows, we did have our annual meeting on Tuesday. We're not going to go over those minutes yet, but we do have the minutes from the February 13th regular meeting. And everyone's had a chance to review them, I believe. Are there any questions or comments on those minutes? There being none, is there a motion to approve the minutes from February 13th?
I'll make it.
Thank you. And again,
I'll second.
every second,
Yep.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is passed. Thank you. So the, again, we're not gonna do anything from the annual meeting. We'll do that next meeting, but the financial report here for February is attached. I assume everyone's had a chance to get to see that. Any comments or changes on that? There being none, is there a motion to approve the financial report from February 2020?
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion is passed. We have bills to pay. And we have Fitzgerald Morris Baker, Firth for $1,920, Music Design $280, and the Post Star $54.97. Is there any questions or comments on that? There being none, is there a motion to pay the bills as reported?
I'll
So
make-
moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is passed, thank you, bills shall be paid. Ed, do you wanna hold back your
Yes, I will.
report?
Yes.
And I will invite, John Lapper to come in, and so I'm gonna change the agenda, I'm gonna move the, Ed's report and our review of our ABO compliance issues and Department of Taxation so that we can consider, 70 Warren Street first. So, we're joined by John Lapper, attorney for the developer, Peter Hoffman of the 70 Warren Street project, the post office, otherwise known, and a request to extend the completion of that project. We would also consider increasing the sales tax exemption and approve a mortgage tax. I understand there's no request for any change to the payment in lieu of tax agreement. I just want to mention for the record that all the members received about a week ago a copy of the proposed resolution and a copy of the application. So John, do you want to?
Sure. So it took a long time, unfortunately, to negotiate with the Social Security Administration to finalize the lease. You know, beyond a year more than we expected, but it all got set. And this additional loan, construction loan portion is for the fit up for the tenant. Peter's excited about having them downtown and getting this building leased. There's still an upstairs small portion that he's looking for another tenant, but this is the big tenant. They'll finalize this construction project to get it done. So that's it. MDT financed the original construction acquisition, and this is just the tenant fit up part.
And has construction on the fit-up started?
Yes.
Has. And when do you expect it would be complete?
Um,
We're now joined by,
and when
for
do
the
you
record,
expect
let
the tenant to
you know
move in?
that Peter Hoffman, the developer, is here as well.
And
Sorry.
you should know we are
We're
video. We're live. We have to be broadcasting to the public now. Just so you know.
So fit-up has started, when do you expect it to be completed?
It has, we are in the definition stages of everything the tenant wants, and we're hoping the construction will start around early July and be complete by year's end.
Okay, so you haven't even started the construction part yet?
Not for the fit up.
Okay,
We've stabilized the building, we've done a massive amount of work to stabilize, to get the box ready, and then the tenant component is what we're waiting on.
is most of the exterior work complete?
It is, it's complete,
And there's a.
other than site work, Judy.
Okay, and there's some square footage upstairs that is not gonna be occupied by the tenant?
That is correct, a
And
small amount,
how much?
1,500 feet.
And do you anticipate that would be commercial, or could it be residential?
No, it'll be commercial,
It
it'll be
will.
office.
Office?
Space,
And
yes.
so you're looking for a tenant for that?
We are.
Okay. So would we anticipate as a board that we would see you back if you were to identify a tenant to further extend this?
No, because we have that vanilla box as well. So there's really a small amount of work to complete that. The air conditioning, we put an elevator in to service it. All the windows have been replaced. The unit is, the term we use is vanilla box, which means it's ready for the tenant for some interior partitions and so on. But we will not be coming back to that.
And for the record, and we all have your application in front, but for the record, could your request is to extend project completion. What do you think that date will be according to your application?
I don't recall what we put on the application, that we were going back and forth on that. And I think we ran it out a little further than we may anticipate.
End of this year, you have the resolution that John prepared is December 31st of 2020.
Yeah, that's really our anticipated, like I said earlier, that was our anticipation. The work is voluminous for this tenant to have exactly what they need to meet their criteria to build it out for them. And we have a meeting on the 25th, which is kind of the finalized, where everybody approves the design work, and then we go to the construction phase of approval. The carpet colors, the balance of the fit up. But we're anticipating early July to begin, and really, once we begin, it won't take us long.
Are you using all subs for this work, or is there a GC?
We use a construction management firm that basically we GC the work. My company, Glens Associates, GCs the work, and we have a management firm that does all the budgetary, all the hiring of the contractors, bringing the contractors in, overseeing the contractors, and
their name is?
British American BA Construction Services,
Okay.
British American Construction Services, and they've done all of our work pretty much in Glens Falls.
Okay.
Just to refresh me, the Social Security's gonna take all the first floor, right? The whole, including the storage area for them, or are they also going into the basement for
No,
storage?
they're not taking any of the basement. The basement will be open, but we don't see that as a rentable component.
Any questions, folks? Okay, and knowing that you're not starting to the summer, we just want confidence that you're gonna be done by the end of December.
As we sit here, I would never have anticipated the lease, from lease signing to lease construction would have taken this long, Jody. But we're pretty confident with the meetings we have scheduled that it's moving pretty quick now.
Okay,
So we think we're good shape for the end of the year.
okay.
Peter, if there is a change after your meeting with the Social Security people, if John could speak to Kara about, maybe we should, consider at that point, if you feel that that date is gonna be, needs to be extended, we should do that in advance of coming close to that deadline for purposes of compliance.
Agreed, yes. Sir.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Is there a motion to accept the resolution as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried.
Thanks, everybody.
Our attorney is away. If she's able to get back in the country, we'll move forward.
We're hoping to close not next week, but the week after,
Okay.
I'll be in touch with Kara.
We have Donna here anyways.
Right.
Mostly,
We're all set.
Right, exactly.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Okay. So I'm gonna go back to the agenda now, and we will go to the COO report. Ed?
Okay, thank you very much. Just wanted to recap very briefly from the meeting of March the 10th. On Tuesday, we conducted our joint meeting of our IDA, LDC, and CDC. Our committees undertook the nominations. Under governance, we reviewed the policies and made a revision to one policy and adopted a new policy. And then audit and finance, we reviewed all of the 3 audits of IDA, LDC, and LDC. We then had our annual meeting and again reviewed all of the above items that I just discussed and approved those of the nomination of the various committees. On the governance of adopting a new policy, amending the one policy, and affirming all other policies, as well as approving the 3 audits from the CDC, the IDA, and the LDC. And all 3 audits were clean and were unqualified audits at this point. So the continuation of other items that are part of our reporting to the Authority Budget Office by the end of this month. I've enclosed the highlights of some of the items that would be needed to be provided online. The first piece is just a recital of the 2800 of the Public Authorities Law in terms of the outline of the items that need to be filed online. Secondly, requirement to place in place online with the website as well as within the packet the statute that approved the Glens Falls IDA back in 1976 when it was first created by the legislature. You have the incorrect item in your packet. This is the correct one of General Municipal Law 923-B, Glens Falls Industrial Development Agencies. Following the sheet, we have a list of all of the current members as of 2019. There's been no change for 2020, but also the added requirements of the various boards composition, as well as an attendance sheet that has been prepared as part of our requirements in submittal for ABO. The next page is the budget, which was adopted in October for the years out to 2023. On the next page is an update of our IDA pilot program. As you may recall, last year the Empire Theater went from a pilot to full taxation, and this year 33 Glen Street, the garage, went to full taxation. So we're down to 10 IDA projects at this point. And this is a chart that depicts what the city county taxes were all paid. The school taxes were paid for the year 2019, as well as the city county taxes pilots were all paid for 2020, and I've outlined those costs for you. Also, as part of the requirements to show the comparison of the benefits that each of the projects is required between what the pilot is and what the payment of taxes would be. if there was no pilot. So you can see, and we've tallied that up at the bottom, between the differential of the city taxes in 2019 of a pilot was 175, and for, without a pilot, the total taxes would be $410,000. So those are the differential to show the benefits accruing to the respective development packages. And we have done the same for the school pilots. The payment in lieu of taxes, again, a comparison between with pilot and without pilot. And then again, they are required, all the developers, to pay full water and sewer, as well as Crandall Library, I was looking at Jane Sweater there. Crandall Library tax, as well as the, if they're located in the Business Development Improvement District, to pay that as well. So that is a chart that will be filed. On the next page, we've also added, because the priority in the Glens Falls IDA has been to develop buildings that either are vacant, or buildings or properties that were not for profit, and converted them into taxable properties there. As well as the direct, what we call direct employment by the developer with the respective tenants. And we have listed the 10 projects along with the respective tenants, as well as the number of employment there, full-time and part-time, through the 10 projects, which shows, as well as those that are residential, the number of units. So residential totals of the IDA projects is 335, and total full-time employment for these projects is 254, and total part-time is 67 at this point. Again, these are the requirements that we request through our IDA agreements with the respective developer to provide this information by the end of February, as well as other sales tax information. And that leads me to ST 62 form, which is a requirement by IDA, and that is to be approved today, indicating that there has been no recapture by the IDA in 2019 of any sales tax, particularly on this particular form. There has not been any recapture by IDA for mortgage tax and or through pilots at this point. So this form would be submitted to indicate that there has been no recapture, and we need to be submitting this by the end of this March 28th for this form to go in under ST 62 form as well. And also, I've just listed a general outline of the guidance for part of, we had a discussion this past Tuesday on internal control, just to outline some basic principles indicating what our cash receipt is, that we really don't authorize receipt of any cash unless it's a event where there is a $5, $10, $15, $20. We do accept cash at the door if they're doing that. Other than that, cash, we do not have any credit cards for IDA, LDC, or CDC involved. And also, we've outlined the process of the vouchers and review by the board treasurer, Ms. Lois Robinson, and also a further review and signing of the process going forward with this. And though is an outline of the information that will be provided along with all of the information that we adopted on Tuesday, as well as the audits. All of that has to be uploaded by the end of this month.
Add two minor issues.
Yes.
One, in terms of the reporting of our attendance at meetings, I would just recommend you expand that chart, because I think it was in October, we had a special
Yes.
meeting.
Right.
I would just add that, so that
Mhm.
at the end, you see the total number of meetings
Yes,
that we
right.
actually held.
And that,
And, cause those are all, you've got all the regular meetings
Yeah.
in there, and I would just add the specials, and
Right.
then critical, I think, to the success of our downtown and our commercial businesses in our downtown are the fact that we've added so many, residential spaces there. And I think we're underreporting the number. I don't know that we would easily get it, but there are, just for example, 14 Hudson Street, what's reported here are the number of apartments. Many of those apartments have double occupancy. Maybe those guys would give that number, but we've added a lot more residential housing units than we've, not units.
Tenants.
Yeah, so you've got the tenancy, you've got the unit count here, we don't have the people count,
Right.
and maybe we're not gonna get it.
That is not required by us. We can suggest that, and some would be able to give us that information. So we'll look at doing that for next year.
Okay, and
yeah, that's a
I
good
don't
point.
know, but yeah, because we've had the folks from 14 Hudson in recently, and I think they might have reported at that time they had as many as 170 living there. So it's,
Yeah.
I,
We'll try to get more of an update, but we thought on a conservative side, just to list the number of.
Of
units.
Units.
For that to happen.
but,
Cause that's at least a solid number,
Right.
non-changing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Right.
get that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's non-changing, and we could even guesstimate, 2 persons per unit for 1 bedrooms and 3 persons per unit for 2 bedrooms, but we've added a substantial number of people
Yes, we
living in
have.
the
Downtown,
and,
absolutely.
and it's helping some of the other businesses to succeed,
Right.
so.
With the hotel, how does 125 residential figure?
Well, we put that in as number of units of people in those units.
Temporary housing.
Temporary.
So you're including that type of figure?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
because
and
it's an
even-
IDA, this is an IDA project,
Project.
Bloomsbury Hotel.
and
And
even
so
if,
we wanna show the full breadth of what that does besides employment itself as to what other services they're providing as part of the incentives that we are
They get feet
providing,
on the ground
to
for
them.
us.
Right, so whether they're just living there permanently or
No.
not.
Right.
No,
they're not, and some of them are long-term stay. They do have some residents that come and stay for a couple months at a time, so there is some long-term stay there. But we're under-reporting anyway, so that
Yeah.
doesn't concern me
Okay.
as much, because I know the number at 14 Hudson is substantially higher.
Yes, it is.
All
Well,
right,
and at the hotel, they're a transient business, they have a lot of companies coming in for overnight, 1 person in the room. So that really is one of those cases where it's hard to determine how many people
right,
are
Sure.
staying
Yeah.
at a hotel.
Well, we
Right.
have, they have an occupancy rate.
Right.
Right.
That can be applied.
and they
to
could
that-
tell
to that
you how many
factor.
long-term
Yeah.
stays they have,
Right.
but,
Can do it.
okay.
The basic information that we do
Is
have
there.
is there. The tax, the sales tax forms that they have to tell us if they have expended any sales tax money on an ST 340 has to be filed along with other employment data. And that again is part of the time, and that's why we imposed a $300 fee for compliance efforts for each of these that are being invoiced at this point for the 10 groups on doing there. But it gives us a better snapshot of this information, and what we can do is to reach out and see if we can get a better estimate of tenants, and then just asterisk on the hotel itself, so we can indicate that as well.
Okay. Any other questions for Ed on his report? Okay, so we all have a copy of the ST 62, which will be filed with the New York State Department of Taxation.
Ed, you wanna input the reporting year at the top of that form? It was left blank, just so you
Yeah.
know, before you submit.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
On a 62?
See up top?
Oh,
Year
Gotcha.
ending? Yeah.
Yes.
oh yeah,
right,
year
yeah.
ending
Yeah,
is,
you just wanna make sure,
yep.
cause
Year ending
they will kick
2008.
it back.
Okay, so with the addition of the year ending 2019 at the top of the form, Is everyone okay with the ST-62 form to be filed this month? Is there a motion to approve?
I move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It is approved. And our Paris, do you want an approval of the Paris reporting too?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And so we've all had a chance to review the Paris reporting, including the taxes and other fees that have been paid through our pilot program on the various different projects that are listed here, and the employment and the residential unit numbers, the tenancies at the various projects. And so for that purpose, is there a motion to approve that report?
I'll make it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anything else related to ABO compliance at the moment?
No, not at this point.
So I'd like to go to the Ethane Tech Meadows issue. Ed, do you want to take that over?
Yes, you have a copy of the resolution in the packet from the IDA. There are two resolutions that will be addressed by the boards here today. One is with the Industrial Development Agency, and a second resolution by the Local Development Corporation, which is the owner of the property that was proposed to be sold to Ethane. And at this particular juncture, we have received notification at this time that Ethane is withdrawing their application from the project as a result of a number of items that deal with the federal government that basically is affecting their ability to operate as well as to obtain funding at a federal level. Some area banks are also expressing the concern because of the federal prohibition against marijuana at this point. Now that may all change, down the road here. The other item that has affected the business with Ethane in the future is that the current proposals for the selling of marijuana, not medical, prohibits Ethane and the 4 other licensees in New York State from entering into that field of business. They are collectively working with the state government and legislature to see if they can modify that prohibition in some fashion. But again, that is uncertain whether or not that will be successful or not. So those factors, along with the factor that we had mentioned before, which is not relevant to Ethane, but it's relevant to Tech Metals, is because Local Development Corporation obtained funding from our Economic Development Administration, a component of the Department of Commerce, for water and sewer that serves that area, and not that particular lot of Ethane is federal money. They have a prohibition that in order for that lot to be sold to Ethane, there would be a need to deobligate that lot from Tech Metals, meaning in essence that there would be a percentage of the sale would be returned to EDA. This is not the first project by any means that has run into the issue of federal and state conflicts in legislation on a variety of topics. And so that this is the pattern. We had several meetings on the telephone as well as in person relative to this issue with EDA officials. Essentially, if this was to move forward, we would be entering into more of a formal back and forth offer and so forth. So approximately would be, and I can't speak for EDA on this, would be approximately up to 33 1/3, perhaps up to 40% of the purchase price would be returned to the EDA.
Is there a time limit when the our obligation to the federal government for those funds expires, or is that is it?
That's not a clear-cut answer. It appears that there is a completion date on that. There's not any bonding involved by the LDC involved with this, but there are it's not clear, I guess is my best answer without getting long-winded about it.
Okay. Is our legislators aware of this issue?
Yes.
We've made, including our congresswoman?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. So.
And they indicated they would be helpful. We were not ready to complete the transaction, so I had that caveat for them is not to, full charge ahead on the issue.
Okay, and so if you look closely at the resolutions, and if you'll remember when we originally entered into these agreements, we did take a deposit from the applicant. Our attorney is holding those funds. We are going to cover our expenses with those fees. Do you have a number for us?
We have a threefold component between the IDA and the LDC for the work that was done, legal fees, administrative fees. Now, we did get a application fee that was paid, and engineering fees. And so totally, the administrative component, we would be looking for approximately $2,500. That would be sufficient.
And
we've been paid our administrative fees for the application fees for LDC and IDA.
and so you need to confirm the legal fee?
Yes.
And
And Kara has provided me some numbers,
Okay.
and I'm just getting the confirmation of Chazen's final number as
Okay.
well as Kara's final number. And I talked to, or emailed Kara last night back and forth. I didn't like to disrupt their vacation, but she was willing to
Do it.
go back and forth, so. And they have a final figure, and we're just putting that all together
Okay.
right now.
So,
So we will-
so while
we
the
will be.
resolution talks about that, and there will be some of that monies will be paid back, some of those monies will be held back. And as soon as we have that final number, we'll report it just as a simple report at a meeting. But I would like to pass the resolution today so we
Right.
can continue to go forward, if everyone's okay with that.
And I'll have a report at the next meeting or before
Yeah,
that.
for what the
as
total
well as
is.
the fund.
Very good. So, is there a motion to approve the resolution? And again, we'll do this again at the LDC meeting, but for the purposes of the IDA, the resolution relating to Etane and Tech Meadows.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion is carried. Any other business to come before the board?
There is not,
Any need for executive session?
not today.
So, being that, then I would ask that we adjourn this meeting, and we'll prepare for our next meeting on Thursday, April 9th at 8 a.m. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.